the book of face. Yeah, I know where to go. There's a man over there into the music scene, showing lots of love for the community with great advice.
All right.
Who I should go see.
Show. Yes. I'm going to master that someday, as Mark says. Show. Welcome to the show at lunchtime, everybody. It's All Around Town Radio. It is Wednesday with the band, and I am pumped to have these two on with me today. Two of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Gina and Johnny. How are you?
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Scott.
Hello from the show. How are you, Johnny?
I'm great. Thanks for having us on. We appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you guys here. And you guys have started this crazy thing a while back called the Gina and Johnny Band, and Gina and Johnny doing the duo act and all those things. And it's become, I'm just going to say it, a phenomenon. I mean, people love you guys, and you're packing the house when you play. There's something magical about this, people. Who wants to start out and tell me a little background about how this came to be?
Well, I would love to hear Gina's side of the story. I have my own side of the story.
This sounds like it could...
her side of the story. So let's start with her.
Let's do Gina.
Well,
yeah. All right.
She comes first, Scott. That's why it's
Always.
called Gina Johnny. She comes first.
Well,
Yes.
honestly, it all started when Johnny asked if I wanted to do something with a band. He's got more of the story because of Karis. So, I mean, yeah, I wanted to join his band. The first time I seen Johnny was like back in, I would say 2010 or 11, maybe at the Summer Cincinnati Blues Fest.
Yep.
When they used to have that. And I just remember thinking like, man, he's so incredible and all this great stuff. And now we actually have a band together. And I think it's pretty freaking cool.
I think it's real cool.
Yeah.
And Gina, the first time I saw you was at the Cincinnati Blues Experience in the wintertime, and you were there playing, and I was wowed by you just to begin with your powerful vocals, and then you started coming to the jam, and man, everybody fell in love with Gina at the jam, and Johnny would sit in and play, and pretty soon everybody's thinking, I think the whole room, and you got to give Karis props for the mindset of trying to collaborate people together like she's done with the Bell Dwellers and all those other things. She's got a unique sense of picking up where talent would work together. And Johnny, let me hear your side of the story about this, because Gina vanillaed that one. That was pretty sugar-coated.
Yeah, she didn't really give you too many details, but no, Gina is right. I first met Gina probably 10 or 12 years ago at the Summer Blues Fest. We played right after her. I believe she was with the Tempted Souls band at the time. And I remember thinking, boy, that girl can sing. I never met her, though. But then we would cross paths over the years and play different gigs, with different bands. But I never really knew Gina personally. And then about a year and a half ago, like you were saying, Scott, she played right in front of us at the Winter Blues, one of the Queen City Blues Fests. And I thought, man, her voice has even gotten better. And we hung out a little bit after the show, and she bought a couple of my CDs. Yeah, I charged her for them back then.
Nice.
Yeah. And that was kind of it. And then we just really didn't cross paths. And I had been going to the Bell, to the Jam, and all of that for a long time. And then I saw on Facebook one day her singing with the band, with Danny Laverde and everybody else. And I thought, man, she is just too special. And I got to go back up to the Jam and try and, sit in and have a little fun. And sure enough, Kathy Laverde put us together. And, so she was the first one. And we played 3 or 4 songs. And I remember us going, wow, that was really cool. And then we fast forward a couple months, and I had played the Bell and the Bear on a Friday night. And that night I lost my voice because I had a sinus infection that went into my throat. I couldn't talk. And I had a gig the very next night at Mansion Hill on a Saturday. And I tried like hell to find a replacement, and nobody could fill in. And my last resort, I texted Gina and said, hey, if you're not busy tonight, I need you to come to Mansion Hill and just sing. We'll figure out the songs. I'll play. You just sing whatever you want. And I'll never forget, she texted me a handwritten list of songs that she could sing. And it was anything from this to that to this to that. There was no rhyme or reason to any of it. And I said, we'll figure it out. And we, long story short, we played that gig at Mansion Hill. It went great. Karis and Kathy happened to be in the audience that night.
Of course.
And, you know, I couldn't sing. I couldn't talk. So I was just doing my thing. The next day I get a text from Karis saying, hey, I think you guys got something, and I want you to put a band together and play at the Bell and the Bear. Well, that's all nice and fine for somebody to say that, but, you know, I have my own band. Gina has her own life. You know, I never even talked to Gina about playing together, music together, you know. So long story short, you know, I made a couple texts to a couple of the guys, and 8 minutes later we had a band.
Amazing.
That's the story.
Yeah.
Gina's shaking her head like she concurs with that. It's like a bobblehead up there. She's going, yeah, all right. Well, let me say hi to a couple people real quick. Kevin Cooper in the house, Jonathan Groom, some great musicians join us today. Toy Hobbs, Jennifer Cuesta has joined the party. Ryan Schwab, Chris Reese from Dat Band is in the house. Fred King, Jamie Minnick says entertainer at lunch. She's calling you two the dynamic duo. Dave Yeck is here. Hi, Dave. Kimberly is in the house. Julie Taylor, Kevin, and Glenn checking in on the YouTube channel. Thank you guys for being with us today and joining us here at lunchtime. So you guys pasted this thing together, and I guess we could now say the rest is history, because it's been a good journey so far for you, and only better things to come. I want to touch for a minute on Gina. Gina, your voice, how long have you had this power that you have?
I've always loved music. Music has been huge. I grew up in church, and I think that helped with my love of music, even though it wasn't like, we'll call it secular music or whatever, but I've always loved music, and I would sing with music since I was a little girl. I would sing in the kids choir at church, and then grew up to sing in the bigger choir, and music has just always been something big to me. Just always singing.
Yeah, well, you have this unbelievable magical voice that draws people in. And actually, I've said numerous times when I've seen you play the Jam and I've seen you play with Johnny, you stop the room. People could be talking, having a big time. You know, there's always that table full of woo girls that are screaming and yelling in a bar and all that. And all of a sudden you start singing and the room just stops. And there was a moment at the Women Who Rock that you guys were on stage, Casey Gomez joining you up there. You stopped the clock that day, man. That was incredible. There's a lot of us that had chills that day watching you guys play and what you did. And Johnny, this has got to be great for you too, man, bringing Gina in and having this powerhouse vocalist. I saw her step in with Doug Hart one day up in Kettering at the phone booth, and she just slayed it. I mean, you got to feel good about this.
Yeah, and, you know, to be quite honest, and I don't know that Gina's ever heard this story. My first two bands that I was ever in, and when I was 15 years old, I started playing out in front of people at 15 years old. The first two bands I was ever in had female vocalists. And I swore to myself after that experience that I will never, ever play in a band with another girl singer. And you know what? We fast forward all these years later, and I never did until this happened.
Damn divas. All right.
But that's because Gina's not like that.
But he did say
the difference is she's not like that.
You would never, he said before this, I promised I would never have another female in my band.
Well, and I think Jamie Minnick summed it up right there in the comments. She said she's so humble. And Gina comes off that stage after absolutely just dropping the mic. I mean, one of those moments. And she gets out there with the audience, and people, you know, they're cheering for her. They're wanting to take their picture with her. And all I see Gina doing is just being this humble little person who walks around and says, hey, I'm just doing my thing. You know, it's just my thing. And it's absolutely a cool thing to see. And I love the way people have jumped on. Kent Fry says, great show at Belterra. Kent Fry, thank you for that. And people jump on the bandwagon here when they start seeing you guys playing places and going to different venues and checking it out. You know, you got your start doing that monthly Wednesday gig at the Bell and the Bear. And you do a band gig once a month there with the full band, right? Is that correct?
That's correct. Till the summer months.
Okay.
Then we do the duo for 3 months.
Do you? Okay. Let's talk about the members of the band also, because when you put this band together, it takes it to another level. I mean, you've got the duo, it's fantastic, but the next thing comes is the Gina and Johnny band. Let's talk about who's in the band.
Right. So about a year and a half, I had a change in my band, Johnny Fink and the Intrusion, and I brought in my old friend on the left there, Mike Grosser. Mike Grosser, like me, is a member of the Northern Kentucky Music Hall of Fame. If you don't know who Mike Grosser is, you probably haven't been paying attention. So Mike had been playing with me about a year before we put the whole Gina and Johnny thing together. So he was the first call I made. Would you want to do this? And he didn't even think about it. Yes. And then, my drummer in my band, Doug Moore, he felt that the commitment would be too much to play in both bands. So that's why he doesn't play with us. And I reached out. My only other phone call was to Roger Bates, who I've known for many, many years in the blues circles. And, ultimately it's the best fit. Roger on the right there with the funny hat. Roger is the best fit as a drummer for this band. There's a lot of great drummers in this town. Don't get me wrong. But for this band, Roger is perfect for this band. The way he plays, the dynamics he uses, and it goes without saying, he's just a great guy. So
yeah, what a nice guy he is. I wanted to say that because he's one of those people you meet for the first time and he's just so cool. I mean, he's a genuine human being. And then there's this spicy redhead behind you in that picture. That I'm gonna use my line, Gina. I have to every show. That voice like butter sprinkled with cayenne pepper. It's got a rough edge to it. It's got a spicy edge to it. Johnny, when you first heard her singing and all that, I think you had to have that light bulb go on in your head and say, I want to play with this girl, obviously.
Right. Well, and like you said, there's there's a lot of great singers in this town. Don't get me wrong. But there's nobody that does and can do what Gina does with her voice, from the power to the nuances. If you listen to, and I think we played at Belterra last week, and Tim, Gina's lovely husband, who I've written a song about, he happened to tape some of those shows. If you listen just to the nuances, especially in the original music, because when you play cover songs, people are acquainted, they know how those songs go. But when you listen to some of the lines and some of the nuances that Gina has come up with in some of these new original songs we've written, to me, it's just amazing. And you can't teach that. That's God-given.
Yeah, we got a lot of people watching at lunchtime here today. Thank you guys so much. Rick, I'm a member of his fan club, by the way. Karis is watching. Karis, if you weren't on earlier, there was a lot of good things said about you being the super glue that throws these groups together sometimes. And Donald, thank you for being here. And the Whammies are in the house from Arkansas.
Kansas.
Yeah, Arkansas. Thanks for being here. Hello, Chris Casey. Thank you for joining us as well. And I'm glad you're watching today at noon here. And guys, as we're talking, this band's been together for a short period of time as the Gina and Johnny band, and you guys as a duo. How would you describe, if nobody's seen you out there that's watching today, what your musical style is?
I'll let Gina try that one.
Ooh.
Somebody's puppy's having fun. I hear it.
Not mine.
I would say blues, mostly blues, but we do a little bit of rock. But I think with everything that we do, we add our own little flair to it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, there's definitely a soul connection too, because Gina's church influence. So there's always this intertwining of soul and blues and rock that really are mixed up together with not a preference of any of it. It just is it's a combination of all of those things.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say numerous times you guys have taken me to church on the stage. I mean, you really have. And it is a spiritual moment sometimes for a lot of people that love music in that audience when Gina starts to use that vocal ability of hers to peak the crowd and then to bring it down to this soft, just raspiness. and stuff. It's so cool to me that you can do that, Gina. And I was wowed by you the first time I heard you, and you weren't anywhere near the Bell and the Bear or this band or anything at that point. You were playing that Cincinnati Blues experience. So as individual members in the band, how do you guys decide what songs work for you and what songs don't? That's a question I always like to ask. You ever have one that you're just like, nah, that's just not going to get it, or any of that?
Yeah. And in fact, because of the new season of us starting back at the Bell and the Bear with the band, we went through a whole song list of new songs that we would like to try. And we probably, Gina, started with maybe 10 or 11 new songs that we would like to try and make it our own. And I'll say maybe 8 of them made the cut. There were several that it just didn't hit me. And for me personally, I can't speak for Gina, the song has to hit me when we play it.
I agree.
I have to be inspired by our own sound.
I agree.
Otherwise, if I'm just playing the song just to be playing the song, that doesn't work for me personally.
No. And I think for me, the same kind of thing. You have to feel it. Like I like to sing with conviction and belief, and I feel like it has to be something like that. And also, like Johnny said with the band, you have to feel it as a band, otherwise it's gonna flop.
Yep.
Yeah, I tend to agree with both of you on that one. And Gina, one night at the Jam, I noticed you sang a song one night and you came off, and I was the first person that kind of hit you there as you came off, and you were like, that one just wasn't in my wheelhouse. And you said that. I mean, you said that to me. You just kind of said, not going to do that one again. So, I mean, you're honest about it, and you say, yeah, I have a certain kind of style, and certain songs fit my style, especially when you're doing cover songs.
Right.
And other songs just, maybe you're not the one that's going to stand up there and do Journey all night because it's just not you,
Right.
It's just not your style of music, and you have that style. And Dave Yeck said it's soul, and it is. You pour your soul into everything you do. And I want to talk about originals for a minute. Let's talk about that because I find it interesting that you guys are digging into that. Johnny, you've always done it. I mean, you've got countless CDs and things. I've got them all behind me back here. But you've played and written your own songs in that. Gina, have you dabbled in that before?
No. I mean, I won't say no because I've tried, and I'm like, I don't even know. Like, none of the stuff that I ever did before felt like it made sense to me. So when I started writing or tried to write, and I tinker on the piano, I'm not a keyboard player, but having that has helped. And sometimes they just come to you. Sometimes it just comes to you and you have to write it down immediately. And other times it's a little bit more challenging. But for me, the more challenging aspect of that is the music, because I'm not a musician. I can tinker, but it's really cool. I think it's really cool. I didn't know I would ever be able to do that.
And Johnny, some of your songs, do they take a long time to write and some take a short time? And I'm asking that because I did an interview with John Waite, the guy from the 80s, the Babies and all that. Yep. And John talked about Missing You, one of his biggest hits he wrote in 3 minutes. Yeah. And it just came to him, So, does that happen?
I find that to be the case too. But to answer your question, yeah, some songs take weeks, months, years to get where you like it. But I would agree with that sentiment, Scott, that some of the best songs that I think I've ever written personally have come in a very short period of time. It's almost like there's divine intervention happening and stuff just flows. You become the conduit. You're the channel that it comes through. You're not creating it. You're the channel. And I'll tell a story real quick that months ago, Gina and I were here at my house specifically to work on writing some songs. She came over and we said, that's the goal, is to work on some original songs. And we sat in my living room in there with an acoustic guitar. I came up with some rhythm things and I gave her some ideas on lyrics. What about this line? What about this concept? Blah, blah, blah. And literally within probably 15, 20 minutes, we had written the song So Long, which it's one of my favorite songs I've ever written. And if you haven't heard that song, go to YouTube. It's out there somewhere. Go to our channel. But the lyrics that she came up with, the music that we all came up with, and then we put it together with the band. And then, of course, it takes a little bit of a different twist once you add drums and bass and everything else in there. And probably 2 or 3 rehearsals in, the song became solidified. Like, this is exactly how it goes now. As if you hear it on the radio and you remember it. It's in your own head and you remember it. So that's the process that we go through, and it seems to work for us right now. In fact, just an hour ago, Gina, did you get my text? I sent her.
I did, but I haven't opened it yet.
Okay.
I left it unread.
Just this morning, sat down and wrote lyrics and music to a song, and I recorded it in my little recorder and sent it to her and asked her what she thinks. And that's the process. It'll be a back and forth from this point.
Yeah.
And isn't it so cool we can do that today, where you used to have to all get together in the same room? Now you just send stuff back and forth and say, I like it or I don't like it, and all that. And let's talk about, let's change gears for just a minute. Gina, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh boy.
All right. Whose dog's jumping up and down? Anybody's?
Oh, it's Chloe next to me, and I'm just patting her.
Well, she's fine. I just like to see her. Maybe. Is Chloe in the house today? Can we say hi to Chloe?
Say hi, Chloe.
Hi, Chloe. Look how cute that is. All right.
Oh,
Little doggy love never hurt anybody at lunchtime.
No.
So, Gina, tell me who your musical influences are.
Okay, this is fun. So when I was little, my mom used to listen to like old Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, like easy listening kind of stuff. And I will say Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston were my biggest influences when I was growing up.
Wow.
I mean, that might be kind of boring, but
Well, I will say I never expected that. I expected something else, you know.
Whitney far more than Mariah Carey, but as I've gotten out into the music world a little bit and finding other bands and other people that it's like, wow, this is really cool. I'm trying to think of who else I can think of as I've grown. That's been a huge yeah, I don't know. Those are my biggest two.
Thank you, Bill. Bill under his name right there that you see, guys, has a YouTube channel. If you haven't followed it yet, he takes a lot of great videos that shows. And he said, so long as at River's Edge is on his YouTube channel, if you want to check that out as well there, guys. So please do that. And Johnny, how about you? Musical influences. You've been playing a long time, my friend.
yes. Yeah. I don't
Dig deep here. Dig deep for me.
I'm not going to divulge how long, but it's been a long time. Yeah. But I actually started playing rock and roll long before I ever started playing blues or blues rock. So I kind of came backwards into it. It wasn't until Stevie Ray Vaughan came out in the early 80s. Until then, I was an Eddie Van Halen nut. You know, I loved Eddie Van Halen. I loved Judas Priest. I was into the hard rock stuff and played in bands of that type for many, many years. But then when Stevie Ray Vaughan came along, then I went backwards. Then I started going back in time in blues, and you go from, Stevie Ray Vaughan to Buddy Guy, and then back to Howlin' Wolf, and back to Muddy Waters, back to Robert Johnson. So you grow up in reverse order, and that's what happened to me.
And no, Loop Man Dan, I did not call him old. I said he's been playing for a long time.
Well, I'm old. It's okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, Dan.
And, Johnny, you and I the other night, we had a quick conversation, but it was you were after your gig at a certain establishment up here by me, and I happened to stop in. And it was a pleasure to talk to you. And the thing about musicians is all of us love you guys. We come watch you play, but we don't always know the backgrounder information. And that's what this show's all about, is to get a little bit of that and hear, who your influences are. And I'm really kind of shocked to hear you say that about Eddie Van Halen. Not that you're, a guitar player, but that was where you really started loving that type of music and stuff, because, Eddie Van Halen was probably arguably one of the best guitar players of all time. Yep. And people love that, but also your bluesy influence, why did you pick the blues? Why did you decide that would be your angle of approach?
I didn't pick it. It picked me. It just hits you. Like Gina said, it hits you. And that's where my heart went. That's where my emotions went. And, I think if you listen to me play today, you can hear all of that in there. You can hear a little bit of Eddie Van Halen, but a little bit of Eric Clapton, a little bit of this, if you really want to pick it out, but it picked me.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you on it being picked. I don't think you really have a choice, and I'm glad you said that.
No.
Because people go, they try to morph into other things. I mean, you look at people over history of time. I mean, Garth Brooks tried to become Chris Gaines and that kind of stuff. It never works. And just, stay in your wheelhouse and do what you do best and have fun with it. And then get up there like you do when you come and guest host the Jam, Johnny, and you play songs that I wouldn't hear at a Johnny Fink and the Intrusion show.
Correct.
But you're up there slaying it and having fun with it. It's something different for you too. So I think that's all fun. How about fond musical memories, guys? We got a few minutes left. Johnny, I'm going to pick on you first. Any musical memory that stands out over your career in music to you as being one of your fondest?
You mean as far as playing music?
Yeah, or any moments that happened, or anybody you played with or shared the stage with?
There's a lot of them, but I'll tell you, in all honesty, this last summer, and Bill Dankoff can attest to this because he was there when we played at River's Edge. That was the first big stage that we had played with Gina. I've played on that stage before, but when we did that show this summer with the Gina band, I kind of felt like we had really made it to that next step. And then at the end of the night, when we came out and we played a few songs with CFG and the family and our good friends Casey and Greg and Pete, Mason. If you go back, you can watch. There's a part in the Tedeschi Truck song we did, Midnight in Harlem, and you can see me lean over to Casey and hug him, and I said, "I love you, man. I'm having so much fun." Literally, that happened in the middle of the song, and that was magic for me. Yeah.
And who wouldn't have fun playing with Casey Gomez, right, Gina? I mean,
great, yeah.
So cool.
I would have to agree with that.
Is that all you have?
Well, within the last year, I mean, all of them are exciting. I mean, if you're talking about since I've been singing, there's been a lot of amazing things. I mean, being able to sing, getting up and singing with Scotty Bratcher and doing the Bell Dweller stuff but as a Gina and Johnny band, that moment for me, I would say, was River's Edge.
Yeah.
Are we going to see a CD come out from you guys?
We will. I'll answer the question.
Yeah.
we just don't have enough. We don't have enough material yet. The material we have, I love, and I'm very proud of it. But we're going to need probably another 2, 3, 4 songs before we would ever start recording. So, but yes, you have my word, Scott. At some point, we'll have one. Yeah.
All right. We want to debut one of those songs on the show too, for sure. That's not already out there. Maybe something you do that's new. We'd love to do that.
Yeah.
So real quick, like before we run out of time here, guys, when you're writing these songs, what would you say are they songs about everything, or is there a specific way you like to take your music as an original band and, emotionally and to deliver a message to the audience? Is it that, or do you just bounce around to different type of songs?
Go ahead, Gina.
I bounce around. I mean, there's nothing specific. And honestly, I will say the weather could change that, like one day there's a song that I've written that's not out there yet that I'm super proud of. And one morning I sat down at the keyboard and I had the window open and it was raining outside. And I'm telling you, the song just came to me. And it was incredible. I don't know. It's crazy. I'm pretty proud of it, but
yeah.
And I've got to answer Loop Man Dan's comment there. Dan, take a look here. If you don't know what a CD is, look at these right here. Okay.
We're all showing our age now, Scott.
Shameless plug for Johnny Fink and the Intrusion here, but yes.
And both of those are great.
They're awesome. I have Johnny in the board, I think, still here somewhere. He's
somewhere,
probably in here.
I'm buried in there somewhere.
Yeah,
so,
it's deep, but you're in here.
So if I could, Scott, before we run, we will be at the Bell and the Bear tonight, every third Wednesday of the month, and that's tonight. And we are starting our guest, surprise guests or whatever of the month. So listen to these names if I can: Greg Ambergy, Doug Hart, Billy Rock, Katrina Campbell, Mark Cooper, Dick Stewart, those are going to be some of the guests that we're going to have over the next few months.
Wow. And you know what? I've got 4 more weeks left on my Wednesday gig, and then I'm off on Wednesdays. So, I might be able to get in there and check some of that out, I hope. I've missed it all summer long. And they can follow you guys, Gina and Johnny, at the Gina and Johnny Band on Facebook if they'd like. Please give them a like and follow their stuff, if you will, everybody. And, one thing I ask everybody at the end of all my interviews, and I'm going to ask you first, Gina, if you could share the stage with any artist, past or present, who would you share the stage with? It's the killer question of the day.
Susan Tedeschi.
There you have it. All right.
And Gina would give her a run for her money. Yeah, that wouldn't be a this. That would be a this.
I think Susan would stand on stage like a lot of us have when the first time they heard Gina sing and say, "Why is this girl not on my tour bus going around the country with me?" That's probably what she does. Johnny, how about you?
Well, for me, it would probably be Eddie Van Halen. And I wouldn't play. I would just sit and watch from up close because you can't. Why embarrass yourself? So.
Yeah, that would be an incredible moment to be able to go back in time and stand there and watch him play. I've done it from the audience standpoint out in an arena, but I've never done it on stage. What a great player. So we've covered upcoming shows, and anything else you guys want to add to those that are watching here as the lunch hour ends today? And I'll get a few comments in here as we're going to.
No, we just have some really cool shows coming up. Again, tonight, November 18th, we'll be at Mansion Hill Tavern. January 6th, we're going to be opening for the Wheels reunion, the band Wheels, remember them, at the Southgate House. And then February 10th, the Manor House is the Winter Blues Experience. So we will be there for that. And then actually my band, just while we're on the subject here, the Queen City Blues Fest is November 4th. Scott, I think you knew about that. That's a big CFG and the family will be playing at that too. So November 4th down at Southgate House, Johnny Thinking Intrusion will be at that. But that's going to be a hell of a show. And I'd like to thank our friend Glenn. If you could show this real quick.
Yeah.
Our friend Glenn makes these lanyards, that you wear. And I want to thank him publicly for making these and investing in the band and all of his support. I have 2 of these. So if you guys, anybody comes to the show tonight, I have 2. First 2 people ask me for one, get free ones. So
yeah,
wow.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Yeah, Glenn does so much for the things like that. And he did all the ones for Women Who Rock this year, all that. Couple pictures here real quick, guys. Diana Halligan took this one. Yeah. What a beautiful picture. That says it all right there. Johnny playing and Gina with that emotion on her face that she loves to show everybody. And then, of course, the logo there, Gina and Johnny. Notice Gina comes first always, ladies and gentlemen. She does. And I've got a couple. There's Gina doing what Gina does. Okay, so
there's Greg Amberg
and Greg Amberg in the background. That's a jam night at the Bell that we had in here. So, guys, follow them on Facebook. Please give them a like and a follow and do all those things you do and support this band because they are 2 incredible human beings. The rest of the band, great guys as well. And we look forward to more things to come. I cannot wait until you guys can develop that CD, Loop Man Dan, and get it out there to all of us or available on all the streaming platforms and things that'll be out there. So we're looking so forward to it. Gina, we love you. Absolutely. Your humbleness, your personality. And, Tim's okay too. I'll say that.
He's okay.
All right. He's all right.
We love you too.
Yeah, thank you, Johnny. Thank you so much, man. You're a rock star, my friend, and we appreciate you being on with us today. Stay with me, guys. I'll sign off here, and we'll get out of here today on this Wednesday with the band. You've been watching Hall Around Town Radio here from the Hall Around Town Radio studios in beautiful downtown Springboro, Ohio. Love to have you with us tomorrow, live at 5, featuring Who's Playing Out, brought to you by Froggies in Monroe. The best musicians and venues in the tri-state and where they're playing all week long. We'd love to see you. Thanks for watching today, everybody. We'll see you next time here at Hall Around Town Radio.